All right, so let's just close our eyes for a minute. And I'm just actually feeling the call to just quickly open the directions that are tied to the elements, because I know that that is also one of your soul gifts. As I'm hearing my baby cry in the background with my nanny, just coming into presence, stillness, coherence amidst all of the responsibilities and the chaos and the to-dos of today's world. And just calling on the direction of the east, the rising sun, the spring element, the spring element, the fire element, the season of spring. You're pulling out all of my shadows here, Deborah. It's already happening. And then we're going to move a quarter turn, calling in the direction of the south, the water element, the season of summer. Moving a quarter turn and calling in the direction of the west, the setting sun, the element of earth, the season of fall. Moving a final quarter turn to the north and calling in the element of air, the season of winter, the winds of change. Calling in the above, in the heavenly bodies and the ethereal realms, for all of the known and unknown, seen and unseen support that gets to help Deborah and I continue to awaken humanity's hearts through this beautiful wisdom of astrology. And calling in the below, this crystal core center of the earth that continues to keep us grounded and fun and light and practical, bringing humor and levity to this ancient wisdom. And just feeling ourselves at the center of our hearts, almost like this infinity symbol of us weaving back and forth together. As we're weaving in the above and the below, we're also weaving together in this conversation and trusting in whatever emerges is in the highest good for Deborah and I's individual paths, but also for the whole. And so it is.
So,
Amazing. You ready? All right. Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to the show. I have the one, the only Deborah Silverman here today. Would you like to say hello to our beloved community around the world?
hello to your beloved community around the world.
I mean, I feel like you don't really need an introduction. I mean, you've been around for a hot minute and you've supported thousands and thousands of people in what I feel is truly awakening humanity to their unique soul blueprint and their soul's wisdom. But I would just love to hear, how do you describe yourself other than a Gemini sun?
It's funny to even hear you say that. I once was a young woman who grew up in Detroit as a Jewish girl in a traditional upbringing where I found myself in love with astrology super young, and nothing was going to stop me at 10 years old. I found it by teenage years. I was knowing all my friends' charts. And by the time I had my first reading, I was like, what just happened? So, unlike a lot of people who are listening, my destiny line was super strong. I then went to graduate school and got a master's in clinical psychology because I knew by my traditional upbringing of being a Jewish girl, I had to have some degree to make this whole thing substantial, which it worked. But most of all, I was following, and I continue to follow home office. I get directions every day. They tell me what to do. And while being young, and many of you I'm imagining are in your era, your age group, it's confusing because we aren't trained how to distinguish the deeper voice from inside as compared to the outer voice brought by our society and our upbringing and our schooling and all the external things. So I would describe myself as someone who had a very strong knowing that wasn't movable and really had to walk uphill for much of my life, going to graduate school and telling them I wanted to do psychology. They thought I was nuts. That was in the 80s, 1981. The supervisor was like, I wanted to do research on chronic mental patients in astrology. And she was like, I don't even know what you just said, but you're not doing that. And I was like, yes, I am.
Okay, I love this so much because actually what came through in meditation this morning was talking about the book Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. And I didn't know how you came in. Like, I'm doing astrology and I'm also taking this route as a psychotherapist and like bridging both worlds. Where with Dr. Brian Weiss, it's almost like he wasn't prepared for that, where you, just like you said, you knew exactly what you were doing. So I'm curious, how did your family receive you? How did your peers receive you? Like, I want to hear that
It was
experience.
just resistance everywhere I went. I mean, in a funny way, my Mercury's in Taurus, so I have a very stable internal, like Mercury describes the mindset, and mine's in an earth sign that is very solid. It's like trees and rocks and mountains. Like you can't move me. I get stuck. Yesterday, I was going to do yoga and I got to the yoga desk and I was so excited. I prepared and she was like, oh no, we're not doing that. We're doing a weightlifting class. I was like, and I said to her, okay, I need a few minutes because all morning long I had prepared my whole, and then I have to go like this. I had to get in the car and talk myself off the ledge and go, okay, it's okay, Deb. So I have this super strong mental structure. And it's also, I don't know if you know the love cards. I've never talked about this before on a podcast, but I'm an 8 of clubs. And that's a masterful system by Robert Camp. And that's a sign of an indication of a person that has such conviction. So I I can't take credit. I can only tell you that I stopped eating meat at 7 years old and I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what vegetarianism was, but there was nothing in me that could let people tell me what to do, which was a big problem. So to answer your question, everywhere I met up with resistance, I kind of just walked right by it.
Wow.
So it's I know this is not normal. Like
Yeah, because yes, for me, that like you're my medicine because so much of my life is around really owning myself and being confident with my peers and my family and feeling weird and feeling like I'm, going off the beaten path and constantly having to meet myself time and time again as it relates to like I can do this.
because your Mercury's in Leo, so your mind needs approval. Like you're looking for acknowledgement, you're looking for status. You need to be acknowledged. And mine was like, I couldn't give a shit. So that's a big difference. And that's what you learn in my school right off the top. You have Mercury at 29 degrees Leo, which is the very last degree. Every degree has 30 because there's 360 in a circle and there's 12 signs. So each one is 30 degrees. You're at the very last degree, which means your mind gets stubborn, but it really requires reflection. You have to get feedback. Someone has to tell you how good you're doing. For me, it was like, I don't care. Now
Yeah,
that's radical difference. And this is what
totally.
astrology feeds us. And so, yes, I think much of this life, why people keep finding me on these podcasts is I'm an example of saying to people, you know what? In the end of the story, you have only you to answer to. And that's contrary to what a Mercury and Leo's brought up with. Like you have
Yeah.
to really talk yourself off the ledge. Like I had to do that the yoga yesterday. Like, it's okay, Deborah. We're gonna do plan B. You're like, I have will, and I am going to include a very popular angle that will create applause.
Yeah. Oh my
And
goodness.
you've done it. Look at your podcast. I mean, when you wrote to me, I was like, she has some very interesting. Your Mercury and Leo is like, I'm going to the best. I want to find the people that really have a message and share it on my podcast. Like you're not doing mediocre, Mercury and Leo.
Yeah, and honestly, I everything is I mean, it's taken many, many years. I'm almost 40, but I get my directive from the divine, like from my higher self, and I feel into I want to hear from people just like yourself. I want to learn from other people. And you know what I want? I want people that are relatable. You are relatable. I want
That's your moon
people.
in Cancer. You're like, are they real? Can I feel them? Will they touch me? Yeah, that's a beautiful quality.
Yeah, it's and my husband's a Cancer moon too, so we're just hearing our feelings all the time.
It's such a beautiful gift as a mom and as a wife. So, you guys, astrology, it describes your nature, the value of studying this. And I'm now coming up to 50 years. It's hard to say it, but and I never get bored. And every chart I look at your chart and I go, oh, well, of course. She's a Virgo looking so pretty with her Mercury in Leo and her moon in Cancer going, can I relate to this person? Are they real? will this feed my audience? Is it authentic?
Yeah. I feel so seen. I also feel like she knows me. I want to, what's
That's
the
what
part of my
everyone said.
chart?
That's why, look what I did. I tattooed on my arm a owl because everybody goes, who am I?
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful thing because, I first honestly discovered you through Blue, and your connection with Blue and so much of Blue's messaging too. And I feel like that's what I'm also here to bring in terms of the collective is just like getting to the heart of the matter and cutting through the bullshit. And that's what I feel astrology does. Like, I feel like you have this like BSO meter because you just know. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that simplifies relationships when you know somebody's chart.
Yeah, it goes both ways, I have to say.
I'm sure.
It's hard to date when you have a X-ray vision that brought to you by an owl. It's very powerful when you have children or you have relatives or you have family members or clients who want to be seen. So there's upside is penetrating the veneer, pulling off the mask, making it safe for someone to say, you're a tender soul, your moon's in Cancer. I'd expect nothing less than your devotion to that little girl. On the same hand, for me, my moon's in Aries. I'm a little bossy. I'm a little, pushy. I'm a little athletic, and I can be annoying. It's simply permission slips. Like knowing Blue has 4 planets in Scorpio,
Yeah.
that gave me X-ray vision right into her soul, and I just had the privilege of sitting with her for. We had a
I
sleepover.
saw.
We had a
That's
sleepover.
why I reached out to you. I watched your live and it was like, okay, it's finally time. I loved hearing that. If you want to share with the audience, that was so beautiful. Your hotel room escapades and story time.
Very personal, and I'm reluctant to share a Scorpio secrets, but she read me her journal for like
Yeah.
3 hours. We just sat together, and she had gone into ayahuasca and done a 8-day silent retreat, and I was allowed in to her secrets. So that's because as an elder, this is what you guys all have to look forward to. Deborah's less and less important to me. I mean, I find her interesting and I love hanging with her, but I find you much more interesting. It's the youthful entrance because you're preparing us for the next era. We're going to go through an awful transition. I mean, I just have to say it out loud. I wouldn't be an honest, really valuable astrologer if I didn't recognize that there is a threshold that is so awkward for the next 10 years that it's not going to resemble this. We're on the other side of this, when AI takes over and the America drops its pretense, there's going to be a new definition of government. And you're the ones that came in, signed up on the front lines. I'm the one behind the scenes going, want me to tell you a secret? You got this.
Yeah. And I feel at a soul level, like I feel that. And of course, I mean, I've just been, I don't know what happened with this Taurus new moon, but I was feeling it. And then something just shifted. I woke up Sunday like, okay, I'm here. New baseline. I'm ready. More capacity. So I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, well, good for you for noticing, you guys. We have something in our company called Silverman Gold. And every full moon, we get together, and every new moon, and we do a reflection and we do assignments. And I have a member of the community that wants a free reading, or I think they pay for the reading. That's not true. And every time during Silverman Gold, it's so magic for me to watch the moon's influence. So you're absolutely right. As a moon in Cancer, which it's natural rulership, you would be sensitive to tending to the influence that comes down. And I find this double, it's still here, by the way, as we sit. I find this double Taurus very empowering, and it just asks for, you're so right. It asks for our capacity to be solid. Because when I say to you things are going to change, we are counting on your eldership that comes in young people. Like you guys came in old.
Yeah.
You knew you were coming for this. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
I have full body chills. I do remember. I remember now, but for much of my life, I did not remember. And then it was a very much quickening in my remembrance. And so that was very disorienting, but I finally feel
What triggered
grounded.
your quickening?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, every decade of my life, I did have some big catalyzing event and it was preparing me. And I didn't know I lost my best friend when I was in my early 20s. And it set me on this spiritual path, grieving her death. We were together. She left in one car, I left in another. And that I made it home that night and she didn't. And so I started asking the questions of why her, why not me? Where do we go when we die?
Mm.
And that initiated me, but I didn't have a name for it. I wouldn't have called myself spiritual. It was really to help me on my grief journey. And then 2020 COVID, I was in some pretty potent divine feminine leadership development programs, and on a new moon during eclipse season in 2021, I had a major activation, a lot of bodily movements, a lot of light language coming online, things that I didn't have words for and couldn't understand. And it's
Wow.
been very, very fast paced ever since.
Wow. I'm just looking at your chart. 2020. So the death of your best friend activated. And then this, you have Jupiter sitting on your, in Pisces on your nadir. Doesn't mean anything to you, but it means a lot to me. Your sensitivity comes through the collective in your dreams, in your body, in your vulnerability, and it doesn't make sense. When
Yeah.
it shows up, it like, it's a physical experience for you, how you're dropped to your knees and you're left without a mind. It's not a very comfortable position for Virgo.
Yeah, if I can be honest with you, I had some activations happening last night where I woke up and I mean my hands start moving and I can feel like toning happening, and it happened last night, and it hadn't happened in many years. It happened last night for the first time. I think that's very synchronistic that we're chatting today. It was very similar to what was happening in 2021, but this time I wasn't afraid. I was like, okay, I'm whatever that increase in capacity was,
Right.
there's something more that's being
Well,
activated
let's just
within me.
speak to that. So on this planet, we get an operating system that gives us a very small space to work in. So when the body starts to respond, or kriyas happen, or dreams come in, or you're on ayahuasca, and the other world pops outside that operating system, we're left very vulnerable based on the collective agreed thought process. But that's why you're here. It's changing. There's no longer, like, I grew up having to act normal. And all I remember, honestly, it's so silly. I just wanted to be normal. I was desperate to, because I could not, as I said, argue with my instinct. So I had to follow it, but I didn't want to. And now, with your presence as a priestess and the collection of women that stand next to you, you're breaking out of the, like, your daughter will no longer be bound to that operating system. It's acceptable that your hands will be moved, that your intuition will scream your name, that you'll recognize something just happened and you can't explain it, but you can't doubt, because the body is the vehicle. This is the vessel. In astrology, the rising sign, the body is the rising sign, is your soul. That's my new book. It's not the ego structure of you being a Virgo. It's a Sagittarius rising. Dun, 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 dun. I don't believe in astrology. That's the name of the book. The
Oh,
soul,
we're going to talk about that title too. But
soul
keep
is,
going.
so your rising sign, it's so interesting because you have on your rising sign two planets on the point of your body. One is Uranus, like you have a strange electrical system that echoes what I said to you about not having logic, but things running through your body. And then on the other side, you have Saturn going, you need discipline. You have to get
Oh,
together. You have to start organizing. So it's a funny game being Lindsay, because you are a conduit for outside this model. You have access through your body. That's what Jupiter at the nadir, it's such a strange word. It
it
just
isn't. It
means the
isn't my
base of your chart. It's the
Okay.
very bottom of the chart. So for all of you listening, everyone's faculties are built based on the chart. I mean, it's 100% accurate. Can I say that?
I mean, I can feel an activation happening right now. Like there's pulsating actually happening. It's like in my face. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I mean, it's so beautiful and powerful to have someone reflect to me in this world that is so right, the highlight reels and just the like I am not a surface person, which is why I love blue so much. Like I am so done with surface, and to have someone that we've just met like virtually physically for the first time in the ethers, and to have someone like see me, what a gift astrology is, to be able to just have someone know me at this level and just feel this relief in my body. Honestly, it's like, oh, I don't have to perform. Like, okay, I don't have to hide.
Future, this is the future coming soon to your neighborhood. One, I imagine everyone's going to have their chart in on their forehead. Only those that can see it will be able to see it. So we'll walk up to, I'll go, oh, look, it's a Virgo moon in Cancer with Sag rising with Saturn. I'll just, oh, hi. But the second part is the language will be presented to the children. In school, they will learn the language of distinctions and diversity brought to us by all the variations. That's what's going to happen in the future. So we're in such an old-fashioned, dated world right now. It's not a surprise it's breaking. It's so unfortunate people are hungry that the Americans spend 65% of their tax on ammunition. Why would we defend ourselves against something that doesn't have to, like, we're going to change that. So that's the gift of America falling apart, you guys. Don't be scared. We are simply we're dismantling in the name of you and your children.
And you know, what's interesting as you're talking about like us that are really coming online in these ways to be visible and to be, you know, leaders and to be honest and to not be in fear and to be almost like this Joan of Arc, you know, like catalyzing energy. I don't have any fear around the global, collective, institutionalized
But
systems. I don't. It's more about myself. Like, why is that? It's so frustrating. It's more about I'm afraid to be myself, or I'm afraid to publicly share this thing online, or I'm afraid of what people are going to think about
that's
me. It's
Mercury and Leo. See, that's your mental. The first in our school, the very first class was the Four Elements, which is the first book that I wrote, The Missing Element. Then the next class is Mercury, that you have to figure out what your mental constructs repeat. So your Mercury in Leo is self-conscious. Like,
Mm,
am I going to be okay? Am I going to know how to show up? Is it okay for me to be bold? Is it okay for me to stand up and stand out? That's your fixation. Mine is it okay for me to be quiet? Isn't that funny?
I love it. So yeah, it's like, and I love that that's also where relationships get to be dynamic and where we get to support each other in our shadows and gifts. So I would love to talk about, because I love the simplicity that you bring to astrology. I personally human design found me several years ago, and now I feel like human design, the Chinese I Ching, and gene keys are a part of my soul language. It's very effortless and it's easeful for me to just dive right in. Astrology, I look at a natal chart and I still go cross-eyed. It every time.
So just so you know, the gene keys are based in astrology.
Yes.
Human design is based on, you just haven't had the right teacher.
All right. Teach me.
I teach it in you literally come for 6 weeks, once a week. Your chart comes on the screen. They're going to point to your Saturn and like, they're going to teach it to you at like fourth grade level.
That's what I
Once,
need.
once the foundation's in place, then you go back to the human design and you go, aha, totally get it. I can point you, there's such a bridge because all of it, Gene Keys, that wonderful man, studied astrology. You can't, it's so funny that the mothership is astrology, but people got the confused message that it's really hard. And that's why this book is so simple.
And your course, like, right? That's what I need, because I literally, I'm like looking at my son is a Aquarius sun, he's a Sag moon, and he's a
Your
Capricorn
son, I
rising.
thought it was your daughter. Oh, your son. He's Aquarius. Do it again. Aquarius sun.
Well, we'll talk about why I'm not surprised that you're saying daughter, because I do have a daughter and she's very loud and clear that she wants to come through. So this isn't the first time that people are like, your daughter, I feel your daughter, your daughter.
Interesting.
But my son is an Aquarius sun, a Sag moon to go with my Sag rising, and he's a Capricorn rising.
Guess who was an Aquarius moon in Sag? The Pope that
Oh,
just passed away. And
really?
he was the most open-minded humanitarian
Mhm.
that did not let Catholicism limit anything. That's Aquarius Sag. It's the best combination.
Yeah. And I feel like yeah, there's global travel for our family, and I'm not surprised that he chose Sag moon. So, so with the simplicity piece, I think this is really supportive, because I think, you know, for me, human design and the gene keys, I don't know, it just feels like I think when I look at a natal chart, it is so confusing. And you bring this element of fun, lightness, levity, simplicity. And I think you're this gateway drug to astrology that we didn't know we needed, because I love to go deep. I am a seeker, right? As a Sagittarius rising, I'm a seeker. But for some reason, I'm just like, I can't. And even just the way your book, I mean, I can use it as like a coffee table book, and I can say, okay, what's going on? Like, what's my mantra as a Virgo sun, or what's going on with my husband? It has been so helpful. So let's talk about that for a minute.
So thankful. Thank you so much. You know, I didn't want to write the book.
Of course, it always happens that way.
It's in the back of the book. It's the very last, not the last chapter, but the afterword. But it was 50, it's almost 50 years of collecting information that I distilled. And someone, my best friend, who said to me, "Are you kidding me? Like you are going to write this?" But I was like, okay. And then my progressed moon went into Virgo, and I had this 2.5 year window where I was really into editing. So it all worked out. And the point of that is I was determined to do astrology in simple terms that people would put the book down and then go, uh-oh, this is real. I have to go to the next step, which is my school. You guys, it only happens twice a year, in September and in January. It's a small group. There's only 10 people in the classroom. Your chart is what you study. So every time the class comes up, your chart's on the screen. It's not abstract because my Mercury's in Taurus, so it's very practical. And I made it multidimensional, like it's auditory, it's visual, it's creative, it's artistic. I made many doorways because I have a learning disability. So I built the whole school around people that aren't normal, although you can go the normal route. And my promise was answering this question, like, what did you agree to do this life? And your
Mm.
Saturn's in Capricorn. Like you came in and you said, is it in Sag? Hold on a minute. Your Saturn is in Sagittarius. Oh, that's so fun. So not only is your rising sign a seeker, but you promise this life based on Saturn that
Yeah, I feel that.
you'd speak to the unspeakable. You would be disruptive. You would say things that I have the same one, by the way. We're 30 years apart. That you would disagree. Like I'm literally 30 years older than you.
Yeah. That's the part of me that fights with my Mercury and Leo. That's like, I don't want to disagree, but I do want to disagree.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's what you learn in the chart. So there's this
Amazing. All right, I'm
simple.
doing it. September. This is going to launch before September. So who's coming with me? We're
Yeah,
doing this.
and you guys can do it as a group. And by the way, our good friend Blue did it. Like you have to get the basics under your belt in order to do the gene keys and actually promise that you'll answer the question, what did she say she would do this life? Why am I not aging? I'm almost 70. Why am I not aging? Because I am in love with what I promised to do, and I do it every day, and it's keeping my energy field vital. If you're not doing what you like, you're going to be happy because you're obviously in love with what you came with your Sagittarius. I'm going to tell the truth. And your Mercury Leo goes, uh-oh, am I getting in trouble?
Exactly. That's exactly it. Or am I going to be abandoned for being myself? That's my big one.
That's a past life memory. There's somewhere, and so many of us suffer from this. This is Brian Weiss, back to what your meditation was. We all are carrying archaic memories. Mine was being an astrologer, being a man, because there were no women astrologers ever. There was never, ever, ever a woman rabbi until 1980. There's never, ever a woman anywhere in the churches, but now we are changing the order, obviously. Thank you, please. So let all the women astrologers come forward now. And we're liberating the part of ourselves from the past life memories that said, danger, danger,
Mm.
gonna get in trouble, gonna get abandoned. Because you would get abandoned. You would be in the
Yes.
community as a witch, and they
Yeah.
would have said, Lindsay, you're out. You're just bugging us.
And
Having
that's
your
the
body respond to things like that. You look
Oh
weird.
my gosh. And there's times where that happens. That's why there was so much fear of like, no wonder we were burned at the stake. This is fucking weird. Like, I think it's like, it is weird, but it's cool. Like, I'm like, but it's real and I
Now it's
feel
cool.
something.
Now
Yeah.
it's cool because we know that we're out of this old small little limited system. The witches and the feminine principle have been resourcing from the beginning of time the wisdom that came through the moon. Every religion, including Judaism, was based on the moon, not the sun. And the
Mm.
moon is in the dark. It's in the night. It's on the inner plane where the feminine knows that she bleeds according to the moon. The moon is everything. And so that's why you would feel, I love how your moon in Cancer feels it. But that was left behind. It was a Gregorian calendar that completely altered everything, left behind the moon, didn't agree at all that the feminine should be allowed to use her intuition. And it's all changed because of you.
Mm. Wow. That was a beautiful transmission for the divine feminine. Mic drop, Deborah Silverman. Oh my goodness. And I believe, right? And it's the same thing with AI, right? Like the consciousness. Like I'm not afraid of it because I mean, there's just like with technology, I feel safe because I'm seeing my sisters also showing up and being visible and doing the hard things and being seen and telling the truth, knowing that there's cancel culture and there's a whole world of people that are here to try to eradicate or, yeah, just be in fear of or condemn or all of the things.
And then the other side is, which I represent, is I have a company with 50 women, only women. And we are a multi-million-dollar company. We've been in business for 10 years. Why? Because my male side is in service to my intuition. So I do spreadsheets and I do P&Ls and I do tax reviews and I do organization and I know how to do HR and I didn't come this way. I had no training in business. So I want to say to the women that are doing the new age and work welcoming all these you make a business out of it. Recognize
Let's
you can
talk.
make a lot of money because you love being in the world.
Let's talk about this. So, right, because this is the integration, the sacred union of the masculine and feminine poles within us. And you're saying that you didn't, right? Like you had to learn this. And I think so many of us are in our unhealed masculine and we have to go back and be like, whoa, this is not in alignment. And then we just are like healing. And then we're sitting here and we're like, I'm just going to be in the feminine. And then we're not making any money. I was a former engineer.
Wow.
10 years as an environmental engineer, had a healing transformational health journey. Like that was part of my awakening as well. Um,
Wow.
and totally switched paths. But of course, there's still so many elements like project management and understanding structure. Like my Virgo sun, like I understand looking at my QuickBooks and how to create a structure to like hold that flow. So let's talk about that because I get that so much with my clients and I'm seeing it so much where we are meant to be resourced. Like what women do when we are resourced and in our hearts and serving humanity, what a world that it gets to be. So let's help the women call in abundance. What
Love
did
this.
you do?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I faked it. So I hired a woman whose name was Destiny.
Of course.
And every Monday morning, I had a meeting with Destiny. She'd worked corporately, like yourself, in marketing specific to online programs. This is 2015. None of us knew what it meant. And she had had a reading with me. At the end of the reading, she said,
Wow.
that was the best reading I've ever had in my life. Have you ever thought of doing an online school? And I was like, a what? What'd you
Wow.
say? I was in my late 50s. And she said, if you come up with the curriculum, which by the way, I have not changed one thing about what I
Wow.
designed in 2015. We're now pretty much 10 years later.
That's
Um,
amazing.
but I had to pretend, this is how I learned how to ski. I would just ski behind somebody who was good at it because I hate taking, I have a lot of rebel, I have a very strong Uranus, it sounds funny. But if I follow someone who's good at something, I can imitate them.
Mm.
So I said to Destiny, I will give you a percentage of my company. I got an agreement with her. I had two best friends that were multimillionaires who I had in the back room who I whispered to, like, I don't know what she just said. And then they would give me notes and I'd come back to them being percentage, the profit margin. I just repeated I faked it.
Wow.
But,
Amazing.
but I learned by being around other women. I have a real thing about, I had worked with men and it was always too much competition and sexuality. I just couldn't do it. So only women, and I learned by getting it wrong. And I was unashamed, this is my life lesson like yours to say, I don't get it. And I pretended. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. And as the years went by, I understood what a P&L was. And I understood what a profit margin was. And I understood all this stuff I learned live time. Everyone else that I was learning from went to business school. But I was willing to say, can you help me?
Yeah.
And I was
That's
willing to say to Destiny, okay, I'm going to give you a lot of money for doing this, but you have to hold my hand. I'm a codependent. My Libra rising needs you to stand next to me. She was like, I'm in. So be unashamed to say when you find someone like a Lindsay or someone who's a coach or someone who's an example, then you take their class and you pay a lot of money for it. And you do what they say. Your male side follows the instruction. I'm thinking about Destiny. I'm thinking about Jolie Dawn. I'm thinking about people that taught me. Do you know who Jolie Dawn is?
no, tell me who she is.
She teaches business online and how to use the marketing of doing funnels. My CEO is called Melinda. She teaches women. I mean, there's ways to learn how to take your business to a higher level. And once again, Destiny, but not the girl Destiny, but Destiny, the real truth, had my back. She was like, Deborah, you have a gift. you're going to teach astrology so people's lives change, to your point. And you're going to do this little class, this little 6-week class. And I came up with the curriculum, it downloaded. I had no idea how clear it was till 5 years in. And I was like, wow, that was smart. Start with the elements and give them the lesson of what's missing with homework. So if they're missing earth and they can't do the spreadsheets, go learn. If they're missing air and they can't cry, go watch sad films. You're broken. There's 4 wheels on a car. If one of them's down, you're not operating with the full system. So that's the 4 elements. Then the next class is Mercury, like, uh-oh, you're fixated on pleasing people. This is not going to work for you. Okay, learn that one. Then the next class is your shadow, the North Node. This is all I teach. And then you learn, oh my God, there's a secret code brought to us by the North Node. Who knew? And then the next class is your life lesson and the cycles and the timing of astrology. And that's what you learn in level 1. And people finish, and by the time they're done, they can do readings.
I mean, I'm sold just because I feel like, again, you've made it in such a way that is exciting me, where normally I look at a natal chart and I'm like, or somebody's trying to teach it and I shut down. So I'm in.
I know,
I'm
because you know
literally
what they
in.
do? You know what they do that you don't like, Lindsay? They talk jargon.
Yeah, exactly.
You said it earlier, what you appreciated. I speak English. The class is a direct, like after that very first class, some people have to go clean their closet. That's what an astrology class teaches you. Some
Wow.
people have to go start marketing. They have to go online and start talking about, and they don't want to. They have to go do videos and they hate it. But I force them to do their missing element.
And you know what we're speaking to as you were talking about growing your business, and it's that willingness to be a student, that willingness to start something new and to fumble your way through it. And I'm not afraid to say, I need 4th grade reading level 4 astrology. I'm not afraid to say it. So thank you for creating this. And this is why we need all of our sacred work in the world, because the world needs it. I wouldn't be able to do it without that help. Like I want to be skiing behind Deborah Silverman reading
It's so
natal
funny
charts.
because I was in a relationship for many years with this great skier, and as soon as he'd leave, I'd be like, I was, because I would want to go as fast as we were going, but I didn't get any of the skills. But it's okay to admit that there's someone that could be your teacher. And you guys, if you're resonating with what I'm saying, my gift this life is simplicity, rude honesty. I have Saturn and Sag like Lindsay, and humor. I don't want you to be bored.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted you on the show, because it's again, it's like bridging these esoteric topics that sometimes overwhelm people, right? And you keep it fun. And that's what I think, like people overcomplicate it, and I feel like there's this old outdated theory that spirituality needs to be like
Because that's what it
perfect.
used to be. You don't understand. We're in the Aquarian age. In the Piscean age, you would spend years working as an apprentice. You would spend years being coded and tricked because they didn't want you to come in too close. You had to go find these sacred books that were left behind in these chambers, and you weren't allowed to touch them, especially if you were a woman. Now you push a button. There's no math in astrology. Now
Yeah.
you push a button,
Yeah. Amazing.
and it's free.
Well, I also feel like it's really fun that you had literally this woman named Destiny supporting you
Every
in
Monday
anchoring.
morning, I had a meeting with Destiny.
It's like your date with destiny. So I know that you've talked about this quite a bit, but I would love to hear again, the destiny, like how much of it do we have? Like where's the playroom? We've got the fate, we've got the free will, we've got the destiny. I would love to hear your perspective on divine orchestration, because personally, I just moved to a new state. I had a baby. I'm foundationally feel like I'm being rebirthed on so many levels. I've got new offerings coming online and like I feel different in my body as this archetype of the mother. And it's disorienting. And there's a part of me that feels impatient at times. And so I see you're like pulling up my chart, right? So there's this part of me that feels impatient. And so I'm in this struggle with like,
Okay,
okay,
announcement.
okay, I'm ready.
Ready. So in level 2, so level 1 is just you study you, the whole
Okay.
class. And that's why everybody loves it so much, because it's like
Yeah.
the ego is like, tell me about me. And you really do study your shadow, your life lessons, your timing, your missing element. It's just 6 weeks and it's $1,000. Okay. Level 2 is the nuts and bolts. So what you
Okay.
would find out, get ready. This
Okay.
month, your chart just shifted radically from the last 2.5 years. You were in, this is called the progress moon. and you were in a very deep entrance into yourself. It was in Scorpio. So you were reclusive and you were quiet and you were less interested in others and really wanting to go clean up your unconscious. And you wanted to stay home with that baby. And you were just this month, it's
Wow.
moving into fire. And now you're out ready to go out to the world again. And you're going to find yourself laughing more and your mood's going to change. It just changed a month ago. It was literally this last 5 weeks.
It was really excruciating. So
And,
yeah, that would have been nice to
okay,
know.
that's where Blue is. Blue's in her progressive moon in Scorpio, and she went offline. It's
Yeah.
during that window. It's a 2.5 year window. It's called the progressive moon. You learn about it in level 2. It's so simple, again, to your point, but it describes eras, and yours
Is
just changed. You're coming out,
are all of your level 1? I think you have up to level 4 or you're right?
right?
And
That's right.
are they all 6 weeks or
No, so level 1 is 6 weeks, level 2 is 6 weeks, level 3 is a weekend with me where you
wow,
actually learn how to do a reading in front of me.
cool.
And you get feedback. And level 4 is where the marketing comes in. That's where Melinda, my CEO, comes in and teaches you how to do funnels, how to do your marketing, how to get your niche, how to create your own version. So it's not necessary to go past. You could just do level 1 and level 2 as a entrance of learning astrology. But if you wanted to do a reading, and at the end of level 2, people get paid $200 an hour to do a reading because you've got honest information that people are like, it's kind of like doing the gene keys, but it's much more detailed. The gene keys give you a general, wonderful access to the cosmic picture. This is more like, oh, this month,
Mhm.
Lindsay, you'll know that at the end of level 2. This month and for the next 2.5 years, you're coming out.
So let's talk about that from like a collective standpoint around the fate versus the free will. Like, how much of it is, are we resisting this thing? Like, how much do we really play a role in our destiny? I'm curious.
Well, listen, you have such an ambition. You found your partner, you're having a baby. You're like the dream girl that everybody wishes at your age. How old are you? 40. They're like, this is the dream. But that's not the karma for everybody. There's a lot of people who have to wrestle, struggle, get depressed, get anxious, get confused, get in the wrong relationship, learn. That's their destiny.
Yeah.
Not good or bad, but there are certain beings. It's so funny because Blue just texted me. There are certain beings like Blue, like yourself, like myself, who they were like, come with me. You've accumulated merit from a past life. Welcome to Brian Weiss, where you are now operating with a recapitulation where you remembered astrology at 10.
Yeah.
Now, that's not true for you guys, but that doesn't mean this lifetime you can't plant the seeds. So, fate and destiny is always standing next to you, seeing the nature of your commitment,
Got
your
it.
follow through, your discipline. I am exceptionally disciplined. I'm always on time to the minute. I text people back instantly. My success is because I share money. I carry $100 bills in my pocket. Every restaurant I go to, I leave ridiculous tips. I have figured out the code of what it takes to generate good karma. And I did that in my last life. So in this life, I'm seeing the merit. I went to the bank and they said, you got a lot of money in here when I was born. You're putting
This
money
is
in your account. Now, if you flounder, if you throw it away, if you get distracted, if you get addicted, if you get caught in your mental constructs, you don't study, you don't take the classes, you are superficial, I'm going to tell you what'll happen. You'll get
tell
real,
me.
you'll get real confused.
Yeah. Yeah,
And you'll
this
have
is
addictions and
powerful.
depression, and it'll all get caught in your body and you'll have symptoms.
Yeah, this is powerful because, right, that's the piece is I always, this is what's been coming through a lot. It's like God's got us, and whatever we want to say that is, our higher self source, doesn't matter. God's got us, but it's up to us to claim it. It's
Oh,
up to us to do
100,
the thing, right? And I
100. Listen, you guys, your will, you have to every day, after you hear this podcast, I'm going to invite you. You start saying to your soul, take over my life.
Mm,
Help me be devoted to you. Show me the devotion. Give me the clues. I'm going to promise, help me listen. Give me big signs. Whether it's Joe Dispenza, whether it's the dream time, whether it's the dark room, whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's the pot, I don't care. But you have to follow through. And the mistake that people make, especially in our society now, is these things gave us an attention span of a nap. We are off. Reading a book, I spent much of my life as a Gemini. I'm addicted. I'll just admit it. I'm a social media addict. It's
Mm.
horrible. However, I have managed my interest to stimulate. Like I'm all about AI right now, and I'm all about the implications of where the planet's going. And I'm all about the download of how we're going to dismantle this American culture without resistance. So I watch the Fox News and I watch CNN every day.
Wow.
Want to hear the funniest story?
I was gonna say, bless your heart, because I don't know if I'm cut
Nobody
out for
wants
that.
this job. No, I have cancer on my midheaven. I am a serious. The reason why I have this job and why my company runs in millions is I'm serious. I will not leave this planet without my family having my. I mean, it makes me want to cry. We're in such desperate need of a mom. Who will hold us? Who will be the wisdom keeper? Who will be the one that will be able to say, "I saw this coming. We've seen it before. Sit next to me."
My Cancer moon loves you. I'm like, yes. Can you be my spiritual mama?
Yeah, I was going to tell you a dream, but I think I'm going to leave it out because it's so embarrassing. But it's the simple truth is I pay attention every day in my consciousness of being the mom. Now, that's a very high responsibility, and I have to manage my own body, and I have to be very careful about my eating, and I have to be very careful about how I cleanse. And I have made a commitment this life to you. I
Mm,
made a promise. I'm going to go down there. I didn't really want to come here. I didn't really want to write the book.
yeah.
But every time I get an assignment from home office, I am in such devotion to those that created this existence, especially because astrology is airtight. How
Mm,
dare I disrespect the creators of a masterful, unfathomable consciousness that gave us the architecture of the human design? I will never disregard those that created it. So I'm devoted,
yeah.
100%.
I feel that the devotion and then the discipline and I feel that also what these things have done, our cell phones, is created a level of comfort and not wanting to stretch out of our comfort zones, and that's part
Humans
of
of mass
evolution.
distraction.
Yeah. So, this podcast, this episode, this beautiful co creation is media as medicine, truly. Like, this is the type of stuff that you get to be listening to versus just the endless scrolling. If you're going to be on your devices, if you're going to be tuning into something, this is it, right? And like, take the action. I literally wasn't planning on doing your course because I've been in a very, right, I'm just
Scorpio progress moon.
and it's like no consumption, like unsubscribing from everything. I
That's
just
what
get my
Blue's been doing. Blue's right in the middle of it. You're at the
wow.
end as of today.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'll message her and be like, ah, I'm on the other side.
She'll
I'm
know
here.
exactly what you mean when you tell her your progress moon just left Scorpio. She'll know exactly.
Um,
It's a shorthand.
she wrote an email about it, several. I knew that I knew that I was, so Blue wrote an email about it, I don't know, sometime late last year. And I discovered that that was my progress mood from her email. I didn't even have to look it up. And then I had my friend Kate. I was like, can you look up and see if this is what I'm in? And she's like, yes, from her email. Cause I felt so seen. Oh my gosh. So, it is. Anyways, what I was going to say is now I'm getting excited again to consume things that I know are in alignment. So reach out to me once this airs. Like, let's have a little small container. Let's do this together. Let's be devoted and be disciplined and have accountability. Grab this book that, again, I love that you can just go and I don't have to even read it in any specific order. It's like, all right, I want to learn the houses. Okay, cool. Like, what's happening right now? And that is so supportive, so supportive for so many of us that get overwhelmed by it. You are amazing.
They say, I don't really feel like I'm amazing. I feel like my devotion is amazing. My remembrance of why I'm here, my commitment to you
Yeah.
to stand on my shoulders, my promise that when I finish this lifetime, when I get home, they're going to say, good job, Deb. Whole
Hmm.
lifetime, this whole lifetime, I've been really living with that question. Will I get home and will they say, good job, Deb? Like, will that be the promise that I fulfilled? And the answer will be yes now. At this age of almost 70, I can say, I know that I've done my job. I want you to be able to say that. And that doesn't mean you don't go all over the place till you find it. And astrology will help hone in.
I have full body chills. What a beautiful question to just continue to keep coming back to. Like when this is all said and done and right, our soul leaves this earth plane in this body, can we say like I gave it my all? Can I say that I followed my heart? Can I say that I followed my soul blueprint and what I came here to do and who I came here to be? And that's all that matters, truly.
You feel so good. Thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm so grateful to you and your sweet husband and that beautiful child that this lifetime you're embodying the example of what it is to live a conscious life and the willingness to do it in front of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And I think the biggest piece with this Aquarian age too is we are all so different. There are no two charts that are the same. And that is why it matters because we're not supposed to be doing what everybody else is doing. And that's the wisdom that you and your company and your courses and your books brings. That's what we're stepping into. It's not going to look like that person you're seeing on social media. We can be inspired by someone, but we've got to do it. Is there anything you want to say to that before we can let people know how to find you as we add it to the show notes?
Just be honest, you guys. If you're scared or you're lazy, it's in the book, or you're suffering or you're so excited, but you can't focus. Here's the distinction. If you're water and you feel depressed and you're addicted and you find yourself smoking pot or taking gummies or getting caught in ayahuasca, or if you're air and you can't make a decision, but you studied everything, but nothing really, you can't commit to it, or you're earth and you get so caught in never getting it right and working too hard and getting burnt out, or you're fire and you're having way too much fun, drinking too much and partying too hard, but you can't remember what you agreed to, all those are exactly where you should be because you need a crisis to get you to wake up.
Whew. Mic drop. Thank you so much. So is there I mean, obviously we'll put everything in the show notes, but is there anything you want to share that's most alive for you for people to
When will
come
this
join
when
your
will this
world
air? Tell me.
in June?
Okay, so in September, there's a small leftover spots, and Blue came to it last year. Here, there's a process called 4E that's in person. It's the only way to see me in person.
Okay.
So if you want to learn about the four elements and have a session with me and learn how to do the session so you can take it back with you, September 23rd, 24th, 25th in Boulder.
Okay.
There's 2 weekends, and you just write to info@Deborah Silverman Astrology and say that 4E, the chance of working with Deborah in person, that's a
Mm.
game changer. And then in the school, it starts in September and then it starts in January, and you guys are all welcome to come find out.
Okay, so we got a double dose of Deborah in September, it sounds like, virtually and in person. How fun would that be? Oh my goodness, what a gift you are to this world. Thank you so much. I'm so in awe of you, and truly are an elder walking this path and showing me what's possible to keep going. And I just can't imagine, in the next decade of my life, what's going to unfold just watching beautiful women like yourself doing the damn thing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending beautiful blessings, everyone. Reach out to Deborah and myself. Check out the show notes. Let us know what landed and continue to share this episode with those in your life to continue spreading the love. All right. Much love.